is 7:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It seems that Mr. Derrick Brown needs no introduction. If there's anyone here who doesn't know him, he is the principal of the Amherst High School, right?
That's right.
I hope I'm right about that. And if there's anything else you wanted to give us, a 30-second or less elevator speech about yourself before you start.
No, I just Derrick Brown, and
Right.
like you said, I love being principal here at Amherst County High School, and it's just a pleasure to be back here, and looking forward to getting into some of these readings tonight.
Sounds good. Well, before you start, real quick, I just want to give a quick shout out to our coffee shop that we have inside the Second Stage building. It's Baines Coffee and Books. I like to mention it to our literary friends here because you may get a chance to stop by and check out the shelves, and maybe you'll see something there that entices you. So I hope you can stop by and have a beverage, cold or hot beverage, and pick a book to read. I know that he would appreciate seeing your face. So, and as we would as well. So please give that a try. So without further ado, like I said, it is 7:30, and so if you could just tell us as you go along what titles you're going to read from, and we'll just take it away.
Certainly. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I think this is an awesome series that you guys are doing, and I heard from Nick George last week, and he's just an amazing gentleman, and I had the pleasure of working with him over in Lynchburg, so that's always great. Miss Smith, it's good to see you. I see you in the chat here, and I am at work, but it would have been a little bit too noisy if I was at home doing the reading with the little girls. So I am a father of two and a husband to one, and our little girls, Abigail and Lily, they are 4 years old and 7 years old. So they have a lot of energy and a lot of spunk. Because of them, I wanted to pick some titles that are represents a lot of different concepts for me tonight, and wanted to pick women specifically, and this being Black History Month. I also wanted to celebrate Black women and Black History Month, and wanted to do so within the theme of education as well. So the two different titles that I'll be reading from tonight, one is by one of my favorite poets, Maya Angelou, and it's Still I Rise. And so I'll get into that in a little bit and explain why I chose that. And then the other one is more for younger readers, and this is it's called This Is Your Time, and it's by Ruby Bridges. And Ruby Bridges was one of the first ladies to integrate during segregation time, just at such a young age, just tremendous strength there, right around my daughter's age. So I wanted to read some of her book and just try to provide some inspiration. So we will get into Still I Rise. I'm not sure if we have any little kids there, so it's just one little stanza I'm gonna just to detract from the speech. I went back and forth on whether I should or shouldn't. It's really hard to censor Maya Angelou, but just wanted to be respectful in case it's some little ears listening. But there's nothing scandalous or scathing or anything like that, but just always like to be a little conservative with the little ones. So if you notice that line is missing, this is your favorite poem too. There you have it. So I also am going to do my best job to read this in my own voice, because every time I read it in her voice, and sometimes it comes out. And so I'm going to do my best to use my own voice and not butcher this. So here we go. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you bested with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides. Just like hope springing high, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders flailing down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? 'Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I rise. Out of the hurts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am black, ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slaves. I rise, I rise, I rise. Still I Rise by Dr. Maya Angelou. And I love that poem because to me it represents courage and it represents strength and it represents persistence and just being able to constantly overcome. It takes a certain type of strength and being able to laugh in the face of those who hate you and those that want to see you fail or have harm, to be able to consistently do that and overcome that. And it takes a certain amount of strength and boldness, which I just love. And I love seeing. And also shout out to Ms. Smith and Alpha Kappa Alpha Fraternity Sorority Incorporated. And just an awesome sorority. And we'll want to celebrate that too. So, all right, the next reading is going to be a little longer, about 15-minute read here. And it is the words of Ruby Bridges herself. And so there are some pictures in here. I'm not going to show those because I'm not sure if I can or not with copyright and all the great things, but we're going to go ahead and get right into this. And I think the first picture is who is the book is dedicated to. And it is a picture of Ruby Bridges and Congressman John Lewis, the late Congressman John Lewis. And it says that I've dedicated this letter of peace, and that's in quotations, to Congressman John Lewis, an icon of the civil rights movement with admiration. He was known as the conscience of Congress and an example of a soul generated by love. Job well done, our good and faithful servant. The torch is passed. We have much work to do, young peacemakers of the world. And to the young peacemakers of America, 60 years ago, in 1960, my life changed forever. Although I was not aware of it, our nation was changing too. I remember that about that time, through my 6-year-old eyes, there was an extreme unrest, much like we see today. I was the first to be Black child to go into an all-white school at William Frantz Elementary in my hometown of New Orleans. So I did not yet know it, that I had stepped into the history books. And here we go, by Ruby Bridges. For my whole first grade year, I had to be escorted to and from school by 4 federal marshals under the order of the President of the United States of America, because people were afraid for my safety. Going into and coming out of school every day, I walked through crowds of people yelling, screaming threats, throwing things at the 6-year-old me. They were against integration of schools for Black and white children, and they didn't want to see those children in the same schools. I had been excited to meet and make new friends at school, and I was met with something utterly different and terrifying. It was a difficult decision for both my parents to agree to let me go to school along with the marshals, especially for my dad, but they knew it was necessary. My father, like most dads, wanted nothing more than to protect his little girl. But as a young Black man, it was not safe for him to walk me to school. And I just thought that was extremely poignant. And just as a Black man in America myself, and having 2 young girls, just the amount of conviction that it would take to send your precious little 6-year-old girl into a school in such a hostile environment, and knowing it's not safe for you as well, but knowing that it had to be done, like that was really powerful for me. as I was listening to this story. My father loved me more than I would ever know, and I felt that he was my very own hero. He was a real hero, having received a Purple Heart for bravery while serving overseas in the Korean War, but he did not return to a hero's welcome. There was little work given to young Black men back then. When I arrived at this time, all white school that first day, all the white parents rushed to pull their children out. They did not want their children going to school with me. But why? I didn't understand. They had never met me. They had never seen me before now. So how could they know what kind of person I was? But none of that mattered. I don't think that they even saw a child. All they saw was the color of my skin, that I was Black, and that meant that I didn't matter. Some teachers even quit their job because they didn't want to teach Black children. My teacher, Barbara Henry, came all the way from Boston to teach me. For that entire year, she sat with me in the classroom and taught me everything I needed to know. She really made school fun. We never missed a day. That whole year. We knew we had to be in school for each other. I felt safe and I felt loved. And that was because Miss Henry, who, by the way, looked exactly like the women that were screaming in the mob outside, but she wasn't like them. She showed me her heart. Even at 6 years old, I knew that she was different. Barbara Henry was white and I was Black, and we mattered to each other. She became my best friend. I knew that if I got safely past the angry crowd and outside and into her classroom, I was going to have a good day. And I just thought that was extremely powerful as well. And as an educator, like that just warms my heart. That's what we want to provide for our kids. And I know I've said this to my staff, and I've been told this, that sometimes when kids come to school, this the best 7 hours of their day. Like the rest of their day is just total chaos. And it's good to have that in perspective and to see that even back then, like the power of what one educator can have on children. So outside of that classroom, the world seemed a very violent place. I later learned that people in the mob who had hatred towards me solely because of the color of my skin. I thought often of the lessons of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who gave his life trying to teach us to judge people not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Truly, these people did not agree with him. Our elders said back then that if Black folks really wanted to see change, they had to step up to the plate and do it themselves. Somebody had to be first. But because I was first, my father was fired from his job. Over the last 25 years, I've had the honor of meeting so many of you in person in your schools. I've traveled across the country and around the world. I've seen your faces, and through our interactions, I've seen innocence, love, respect, kindness, and sometimes even sadness. I recall one meeting where I met little Megan, who said that I was her hero and that I was so brave. She wanted to be brave like me. She had helped seek the help because of her father was abusing her mother. Megan was a true testament to bravery in the midst of sadness. And young Ryan, who explained how we're all the same, and just like his puppy, Rex, his golden retriever is strong and fast and does awesome tricks, and he loved it more than anything. Jimmy, Ryan's best friend, had a collie, and that was Black with white spots. It's not quite as fast as Ryan's dog, but it is smarter. Jimmy also loved his dogs too. Yes, dogs are different, but they both are loved. Both are just dogs, just the same. I see that as a true expression of love and respect. Another time I met they, who said we're all like a bag of M&Ms, different on the outside, but same on the inside. You gotta love those M&Ms. I've not witnessed hatred or bigotry when I've looked into the eyes of young. Regardless of what you look like or where you came from, I saw some of my 6-year-old self in you. I did not care about the color of my skin. I did not care about the color of other skin. And I have loved seeing that in you because I saw hope. Hope that most people don't get a chance to see. And I thank you for sharing that. I've been saying for many years how I believe racism is a grown-up disease, and we adults must stop using it and stop using our kids to spread it. None of you are born into a racist world. It is we, the adults, who pass racism on. In so many ways, we have failed you by not setting the example that you deserve. I have always believed in that it's our role as grown-ups to guide and lead and teach our children to set the best examples, just as you must do when you grow up. I've watched this events unfold over the many years, and especially many times since May 2020. I'm reminded of the strength and resilience of young people. I agonize over the horrific violence that we see over and over against Black people. My heart aches because I know the reality of the world that we're living in. And I am a Black mother of 4 Black sons. My eldest son, Craig, was murdered. The loss of any child, no matter their age, is a parent's worst nightmare. Such loss does destroy families. I feel your pain, and my heart goes out to all those who have experienced Black lives lost. Those lives that had meaning and purpose to their families. Indeed, they mattered. When I think about how great the country is and could be, America, land of the free, home of the brave, I think about what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said about being great. Everybody can be great, but that's because everybody can serve. You only need a heart full of grace. Really, what is that love? Really, it is that love and grace for one another is what will heal the world. It is the love and grace that will allow us to see one another as brothers and sisters. And it is that love and grace that will allow us to respect many ways that God has made us all unique and will allow us to turn from our stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Stepping stones towards the America that we know we can be. United, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Protests continue in the street of America, far and beyond, and I'm so inspired by you and by everyone out there making change to make this happen. I know you must remember what you can inspire tomorrow often lies in our past. May my past, my story, inspire you. The first steps towards change are never easy, but 6-year-old Ruby Bridges taught us that it is necessary to take those steps. Don't be afraid. This is your time in history. Keep your eye on the prize, and at all costs, stay united. Ruby B. And that is a reading of This Is Your Time by Ruby Bridges. So thank you so much for listening. And just the biggest takeaways from the book, again, is I guess as educators or just community members, please remember the impact that just one person can have if you are truly there and see past what people look like and see who they are and see the importance of all human life, just seeing the importance of being united and that we have more that we have in common than what separates us, and looking for opportunities to make our community stronger and greater by learning from the lessons of the past, not making those same mistakes, and just trying to stay united. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope everyone has a beautiful night. And I don't know if there's anything else to be said, but I'll kick it back over.
Thank you. First of all, we appreciated that so much. And just for joining us here and doing this for us, it's just great that we have you as part of our Read to Me virtual reading series. And I'm sorry I did not prep you for this, Derrick, but would you mind terribly taking a few questions if anyone has questions for you?
I'll do my best, yeah.
Okay. Anyone have a question for Derrick? I'm getting a message on the chat that says, thank you, Dr. Brown. Love the book choice.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Smith. Definitely appreciate it.
Anyone else out there? If you can, feel free to unmute yourselves if you want to ask a question.
I also really appreciated the book choice. I thought it was wonderful, especially in this time with Kamala Harris as our vice president. I remember that wonderful meme going around that had the shadow of Ruby Bridges against the wall, or was it the opposite? And then Kamala Harris, the shadow being, anyway, just that this bravery and perseverance of being the first. And it's not easy for anyone. And we just got to be there. You're right, Derrick. We just got to be there for each other and see to our character and all move forward together.
That's right. That's right. Also, our vice president of the soror, Miss Smith, and I'll give her another shout out there. And I love what Vice President Harris's mother told her about. You may be the first, but make sure that you're not the last. Right. So I think that's really powerful too. So thank you for connecting that point.
Yeah. We will be hearing from WANDA next week. I'm so sorry I don't have your book title in my head right now.
It's entitled The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson.
So Smith is going to be with us next week, and she's going to read it. You can all join us again next week at the same time, and we will be here. So thank you so much all for logging in and joining us. We so appreciate you, all of you. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you.